Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey everybody, Alex Stevenson and Jake Face here. Welcome to this week's Mortarpod. Let's do some plugs off the top because they're always fun to do right away.
I love them.
So go to SeemsGoodMagic.com and check out, well, currently a lot of Born of the Gods videos being put up. I've been close to daily, so hope people are appreciating that. I like to hear the comments and feedback and stuff like that. Also, check out our SeemsGoodMagic card giveaway series. It's like a weekly card giveaway thing I've been doing where I just want to hear comments from the community. So all you have to do is like those videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then leave a comment answering the question. And I randomly choose one and send you a card in the mail. So I don't know. It's been going over fairly well, but I'd like to hear from more people. So look at that at our YouTube page or at SeemsGoodMagic.com. Also follow us on Twitter at SeemsGoodMagic, and when I post new content, I tweet about it. So for people that are super into Twitter, it's just a way to like keep up with, you know, what we're posting. All right, well, we can start going into the FNM results here. So I played. I'm still playing the red-white aggro, mostly red deck wins sort of thing. But I'll talk about the changes I've made since I last FNM reported it. So I've got 25 creatures, and it's 3 Legion Loyalists, 4 Rakdos Cackler, 4 Fire Drinker Satyr, 4 Burning Tree Emissary, 4 Fire Fist Striker, 2 Gorehouse Chainwalker, and 4 Ash Zealot. So I, for spells, it's 4 Madcap Skills, 4 Lightning Strike, 3 Chain to the Rocks, 2 Boros Charm, and then the land is 4 Temple of Triumph, 4 Sacred Foundry, 4 Mutavault, 10 Mountain. The beautiful thing about this version of the deck, I top out at 2. I don't know if you noticed that, Jake, but there's nothing that costs more than 2 mana in this entire deck.
That's nice.
Which is really ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it lets me power stuff out pretty consistently all the time. So the new additions are really the Legion Loyalists and the Madcap skills. I've also lowered the Chain to the Rocks count main deck a little bit, and I lowered the Boros Charm main deck count as well. And this one has been performing the best for me, far and away. Legion Loyalist and Madcap skills have both been just tremendously tremendously good additions. The Madcap skills, I think I was like against it at first because, you know, it sets you up for 2-for-1s sometimes was my fear. But what I found with it is, I mean, it's almost like getting a haste creature.
Or isn't it just like a lightning strike?
Yeah, essentially.
Least, you know?
I mean, it really is like a super high variance card, but even if you connect once with it, like you say, it's like a lightning strike, but connecting twice with it really is so debilitating that it really dramatically changes the outcome of games. So I think because it's that strong and comes out that fast, like just Loyalist, Cackler, or Satyr into Madcap skills, that's so explosive on turn 2 on the play. Like, you could have an opponent that just had a Temple in play, and you dealt them 5 damage, you know? It's huge.
Yeah. And the Loyalist is, hey, so no matter what, it's 5 damage, no matter what your 1-drop is.
The Loyalist is so good for this deck. I really should have been running that earlier, too. I really don't know why I was opposed to it. I guess because I saw it kind of like a Mon's Goblin Raiders for some
It's more like
reason.
a Raging Goblin, at least. You know, you can get in with a penguin on it, maybe.
But,
you know.
I mean, it's just so good now. I was getting by Young Pyromancer tokens. I was getting by Xenagos the Reveler Satyr tokens. There's Elspeth tokens. Like, there's so much good stuff that interacts with. But the Trample First Strike, like, people had to keep reading that, too. They, like, don't remember. They're like, oh, yeah, my blocks are terrible now.
Yeah. So even if I do block,
I don't have good, they don't have good trades. And, like, now I have additional out-of-nowhere stuff with Fire Fist Striker. Like, formerly it was 1-drop 2-drop is a Mutavault into Fire Fist Striker, so I have 3 creatures out essentially for the next turn, just with that board. But now I can do turn 2 Fire Fist, turn 3 Legion Loyalist, and get in and still make a guy not be able to block. So that goes even deeper as more like evasion. And even I've had a couple times where it's just you bust 2 Loyalists out as 2 extra damage, you know, as like a last ditch thing. I've had that pay off too. So they're just amazing at making the consistency of the Fire Fist Strikers battalion go up, and their own battalion is just very substantial. And it's just nice to have an additional thing to do on turn 1. I also like that I don't have to really, I don't think I have to do the, what is it, the Foundry Street Denizen route. I think that deck's a little bit too glass cannon-y, where I'm like maybe losing just a bit of consistent explosiveness. I think I'm gaining a lot with the Chain to the Rocks. And even the Boros Charm can really put people away on turn like 6 when they've already got a defense set up and they're at like 4 life, you know. I've had that happen before. So it's really, with the Lightning Strikes and the Boros Charm, it's just enough burn, it's just enough removal, and the 3 Chain to the Rocks has been great. I mean, against Mono Blue Devotion, you can't like play against that and not have an answer to Master of Waves, or you're gonna lose every time. So I really think Chain of the Rocks comes up just enormously big in that. That's also another thing that Legion Loyalist is going to help with. Getting by all the elemental tokens can be really relevant, especially with Fire Fist Striker to maybe, you know, turn off the Frostburn Weird or as a blocker or something. So a lot of synergies going on there. Of course, the Burning Tree Emissary is a staple of all the red deck wins because it gets so ridiculous on turn 2.
If you have 2 in your hand and another creature that can be played with red and colorless.
It's too insane.
Yeah. And actually just another 1-drop. So like it really doesn't matter.
I've done that too a lot, and it's not a big deal. I like the 2 Gorehouse Chainwalker. 4 did feel like it was too many sometimes, because sometimes a 2-mana 3/2 is just not what you need. But I've liked it still. I still think it's the creature count is really probably what most people would think of as like the low number for it. I think most of those decks are running like 30 creatures plus Mutavaults. I'm really running like 29 creatures with Mutavaults. You know, I only have 25 creatures, so it's a little bit on the lower side of it's not like dangerously low on creatures, but it's on the lower side of those style of decks. But I like the spells that I'm using a lot, and Madcap Skills is almost like a second creature and how it works too, you know. So yeah, I'm running the Temple of Triumph, Sacred Foundries, Mutavaults, Mountains. The land base is pretty straightforward and simple. Just, you know, no white sources beyond the non-basics. And Mutavault's so key right now. I feel bad for people that don't have them now because of how expensive they are. I understand if you don't have them, but I'm lucky. I guess I got them at like $17 or $18 or something a while ago, because they were at that. Like, it wasn't like I found a good deal now or something, because I think,
what are they now, 30?
I want to say they're 35, something like that.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous.
I think if we just briefly go into a Mutavault talk, the reason I think Mutavault probably shouldn't be in Standard, and I do love the card, so I mean, I really do think it's benefiting me a lot, but my argument against why it shouldn't be in Constructed is because, I guess any
Standard.
Yeah, in Standard, it helps every strategy. So cards that help every strategy, I don't like as much. I think they're kind of pointless if if they're not for something in particular.
Everyone can put at least 1 Mutavault in their deck and still be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, control 1 or 2 of, you know, it's not as important as it is for the aggro decks, but it's still very important as a blocker when you need it. The Mono Blue Devotion has been doing it. The Mono Black Devotion does it. All the Red Green Monsters does it as a 2 of. So every day, if every strategy's packing the card, I don't think it's good. And in that environment, it tells me that
there's something wonky with it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't like to see a card like that shows up everywhere, you know. It'd be like if Deathrite Shaman was really good in Standard also, you know. like why it got banned in Modern. It shows up everywhere, and it's relevant at all times, you know, and that's basically what Mutavault is. It's just on a lesser scale, you know. It's not as backbreaking to play against a Mutavault. You can play Pithing Needle and stop it. There's otherwise it dies to shock or any other 2 damage effect.
Yeah, it's just how good it is
But it
against
is-
those sweepers.
Yeah.
That's really where it shines the
right.
most. After an Anger of the Gods, after Drown in Sorrow, after a Supreme Verdict.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So,
No, it's true. It's very frustrating to deal with as far as
in multiples in
yeah.
some situations, it really gets out of control.
But
It's filling the role of the manland right now. I feel like manlands are kind of almost always in standard in some form. You know, Zendikar era, we had like the multicolor ones.
mm-hmm.
We had like the Treetop Village has been revisited a couple times now, right?
Definitely in 10th edition, but I don't think that it was beyond that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it came before that either. So it was like Urza's Legacy and then 10th edition. Those were the 2 printings of them, I'm pretty sure. But still, you know, they've been printed a couple times. And that effect, I think, is cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it gives each color their own little variants on the thing, and it makes it 2 mana instead of just 1.
I like that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd be cool if they brought back the good ones and maybe touched up the
black one.
I don't even. I wouldn't mind seeing an upgrade to the white one either.
The white one's.
It's a 1/6.
It's a 1/5. I mean, it's decent.
It's okay.
For,
I know.
Like I played it in Control and I felt good about it at the time.
Okay. I guess I could just because I don't know. I could see a little bit of an upgrade with it. Some kind of change. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I really like how Treetop Village works.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how Fairy Conclave works.
Those 2 have always been the best.
Mm-hmm.
And Key to Encampment is good too, but that could even be upgraded to something.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me go into my matches quick. But I will say that the deck's been performing surprisingly well right now, especially since we're, you know, rife in an environment full of like Courser of Crewfix and just all these cards that should be debilitating against me. But round 1 I played against a red-green mids deck, and it wasn't monsters, so it was more doing Perforos Devotion. So so it was still doing some, you know, green in there, like Fnatic.
Fnatic of Xenagos?
Yes, Fnatic of Xenagos was in there, and he wasn't ramping, so his curve was kind of lower than the red-green monster. So he wasn't doing the Polykranos. But he still was doing Stormbreaths in there, in at least a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, then it was like Chandra's Phoenix, Ash Zealot,
a lot of haste.
Burning Tree Emissary, and I think his Burning Tree Emissary was more for playing on turn 3 and playing a Fnatic off of it or something like that.
Or a Phoenix.
Yeah.
You can just tap another red to get that.
So it wasn't serving the quite the same role. I mean, it still could be, you know, played on turn 2 in multiples and be decent. Or something like that. Or even, I guess you can technically play an Ash Zealot off of it turn 3 as well.
Yeah.
Not that that's good.
Not ideal, but it works.
It actually does work.
Yeah.
But I think it just wasn't as good as the Monsters deck. You know, if you're in those colors. Fnatic is actually not performing as well as I think I originally thought it would.
If he topped out a curve in a deck, it'd be one thing, you know? If he was like the turn 3 slam it and get in and like really make it hurt, but it's not like that right now. You know, a lot of these decks are just going straight from 2 to 4 to hit the Polykranos and then move on to Xenagos and other stuff like that. Stormbreath.
That's true. So I beat that 2-0. Round 2 I played against an Is It value deck, and this is a younger kid in our meta, but he's I mean, it was a good deck against me because it had a lot of spot removal. Because at least post board it was shocks and Is It charms and lightning strikes, and I mean magma jet. It was like all the single target ones, which are fine against me, and it kills everything in my deck. But I think he kept some like loose hands against me. Because he had a lot of hands that can go off on 2 mana, like I can. He can do a lot with 2 mana. at least he can play most cards. He was keeping like 1 landers, and then he wouldn't draw his second land, and I could just, I mean, this deck just crushes when that happens. There's no way to come back. You get way too far behind too fast. So, I mean, if that's not already known, the red deck win strategy, I would say, capitalizes the most off of someone missing a land drop in the beginning.
Any misstep,
Like,
really.
in the control mirror, you can miss a land drop for a couple turns and be kind of bad off, but you can still find a way to get back in that. Because they have a long road before they can actually beat you. But this deck does not. So I think the one game he won, he just beat me with Young Pyromancer. He was also running the 03 Flying Trampler for 3.
Spellheart Chimera.
Yeah, so Spellheart Chimera, and then it was just, I think those were his 2 win cons, and the rest was spot removal, like that, and card draw, I believe. But Young Pyromancer definitely dominated me in multiples, and I just didn't have the removal for it. I took out the Chain to the Rocks, and I had brought in, I believe, just more burn, skull cracks, stuff like that. And the lightning strikes were, you know, just hold them for the Chimera. I mean, so I had good answers for his stuff. So I beat him 2-1. One game he domesticated my Legion Loyalist and beat me with my own Legion Loyalist.
Wow.
Giving all his guys the first strike and trample was too good against me.
Domestication, huh?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm kind of surprised that he played it.
I was surprised too. Red Green Monsters round 3 is what I played against, and I beat him 2-0. I know that one game I got to see the really low variance side of Domri Raid, because he must have used it like 4 or 5 times, and he didn't get value once from it. It was plussing it every time, digging for creatures, and he would play, if there was one turn, he played a Temple, he looked, he bottomed it, he used Domri, looked, kept it on top. It was like, and that was after like 3 turns of digging, and that was Red Green yeah. So when Domri misses that much in a row, that's got to be really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's building himself to an ultimate.
And I actually had to attack him a couple times so he couldn't get the emblem. But I think he ended up, game 1 it was really just Chain to the Rocks. I saw 2 of them game 1, so it was like he had a turn 3 Courser, Chain to the Rocks, turn 4 Polychronos, Chain to the Rocks, and that's all that was necessary, you know. Because if you see the rest of it in the right order, you know, turn 1 creature, turn 2 creature, turn 3 creature, get rid of that, dead. It can be. So Chain of the Rocks just shines so well in that match. I don't feel terrible about my Red Green Monsters list or matchup. I can bring in like I take out Boros Charms, and I think I take out maybe a couple Madcap skills. I still like them in the match though, and I bring in 1 Active Treason. I bring in another Chain to the Rocks, and I bring in 2 Mortars. So then I've got Mortars for Coursers. I've got it for Gorkland Rampagers, so I've got good outs for those. And then I've got the Active Treason to steal, you know, any number of those fatties. Even Stormbreath Dragon. I've killed people with their own Stormbreaths. That feels good. Oh, you for me? How would I for you back? And then the Chain of the Rocks, of course, just upping that to 4 is great in that match. So I really don't mind the matchup as much. Like, definitely I can lose against it if I don't have a way to deal with Courser, because that can just adds up too much. But I beat him, and then round 4 we drew in, but we played anyway, and I did beat him 2-0. And same sort of deal. It was just quick starts against those decks. They really, it's almost like they have to have Elvish Mystic, because if they miss on their turn 1 ramp, getting to the turn 3 Courser can be too late, especially when Madcap's involved. Then it's like, well, this turn 3 Courser is not going to do enough on turn 4. 1 life is not going to do it.
No. I mean, at least it's got a 4 toughness, but, you know, if you're playing the Madcap over to get overhead or whatever,
yeah, I mean,
it's still not going to do much.
It's great against me. It's just sometimes it's not enough against the Madcap, especially. So I'm really digging how well the deck's performing now, especially when you think about Madcap with Legion Loyalist Battalion. Getting that with First Strike and Trample's really cool. And actually just Madcap on an Ash Zealot, also very good.
Yeah.
some very strong first strike.
First strike, 5.
So I ended up going 3-0-1 in Swiss, made top 8, and I played the Is It Value deck that I played in round 2 again. And I believe I must have been first seed, because I believe the Is It Value deck was like a 2-2 that ended up making it into top 8.
Yeah.
So I must have been first seed because I would have played the lowest seed.
Right.
So this time I just beat it 2-0. I think one of the games he had another mana issue, and the other game I just I had a quick board presence and I had spot removal for his win cons. So he wasn't able to build up the army with Pyromancer, and even with the spot removal, it wasn't enough to offset me from my Mutavaults and stuff like that. And even having Boros Charm as protection is nice in that match too, at least main deck. So I did top 4 split and really happy with the deck and how it's performing. All right, Jake, you want to go through yours?
Yes. So I think last podcast I had introduced my Planeswalker Super Friends deck, and this time I have adjusted it. So I'll just run through the list quick. I took out the Aetherling, so I'm just running 12 Planeswalkers, 3 Ashiok, 2 Kiora, 4 Jace, Architect of Thought, 2 Vraska, and 1 Elspeth. Then for spells, I'm running 1 Elixir of Immortality, 1 Swan Song, 2 Essence Scatter, 2 Last Breath, 2 Celestial Flare, 4 Detention Sphere, 4 Supreme Verdict, 1 Obsidian's Aid, 1 Far and Away, 4 Sphinx's Revelation, and I changed my mana base a little bit, so I am going to run through it. It's 4 Island, 3 Plains, 4 Hallowed Fountain, 3 Temple of Enlightenment, 2 Temple of Silence, 1 Godless Shrine, 2 Temple of Mystery, 1 Breeding Pool, 2 Temple of Plenty, 1 Temple Garden, 2 Temple of Deceit, and 1 Watery Grave. And my sideboard was 1 Swan Song, 1 Pithing Needle, 2 Negate, 2 Revoke Existence, 1 Jace Memory Adept, 1 Lavinia of the 10th, 1 Psychic Spiral, 1 Merciless Eviction, 1 Palisade Giant, 1 Gideon Champion of Justice, 1 Notion Thief, 1 Aetherling, 1 Putrefy, and 1 Rapid Hybridization. Okay, on to my matches. My first round opponent was playing Naya Auras, and it was kind of an aggressive deck with, he was playing Eidolon of Countless Blades, Blade Cover Scout, or Elf, I don't know what it is.
I think it's Scout.
Okay. And then Alpha Authority and other such things, like I think he had Madcap and Ethereal Armor as well. Can't remember exactly. He had Hero of Iros too, for sure.
Oh,
so,
and then I remember he was running Boros Charm, and I think he was running Brave the Elements too.
Yeah.
So that way he could stop spot removal if he didn't have the Alpha Authority, or make his guy indestructible if it was like a board sweeper.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did beat him 2-0. I'm obviously running a lot of board wipes, and I have a lot of guys that kind of screw things over. Like Kiora can fog a guy, like the guy that he's putting all of his enchantments on. You know, unless he has the Alpha Authority, I can just fog it. Vraska can destroy anything, you know. So, and the Detention Sphere too. So if he ever had doubled up on anything, I could just get rid of them all. So I had a pretty, I think it was just a really easy matchup for me, and I don't mean to be a douche about it, but I was prepared for it, I guess. And the double Celestial Flare helped too, you know, when he's attacking in with a hexproof guy, just make him sacrifice it. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about the matchup. I probably, out of the sideboard, I would have brought in my Revoke Existence, maybe another Swan Song to counter enchantment creatures and stuff. Probably Merciless Eviction, maybe? I don't even know if that would have been necessary. But, yeah, I think I did only bring in the 2 Revoke Existence and the 1 Swan Song, actually. Maybe a Negate. Anyway, beat it 2-0. Round 2, I played against America Control, and I did beat it 2-1.
I'll be right back.
Okay. It was kind of a tricky matchup. playing versus another control deck. He had the Fated Retribution, I think it is, the white card that destroys all creatures and all planeswalkers, and I'm obviously like pushing real hard for planeswalkers. So he had it, but I think actually the one time he had it, I was trying to mill him out in Game 3 because it got to Game 3, and it was a pretty intense Game 3. He had Aetherling out, I was at like 16 life, or maybe I was just at full 20, and he had started attacking me for 8 a turn, and I had him down to like, I don't know, 6 cards or 7 cards, I don't know. He played his Jace ability to like make me split into 2 piles, and I gave him 1 pile of 3 and 1 of 0. So he wasn't going to get any more cards on the bottom of his library, you know? And he, in that pile was the Fated Retribution, and then he tried to Fated Retribution to kill my Ashiok that was going to mill him out the next turn, and I cast Swan Song to counter his Fated Retribution.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It felt really good, too, because it was for the game. But yeah, I had a lot of fun playing this. I only got to play up to round 3, and I only played in 1 game in round 3. It was against green-red monsters, and I did not win. He had Stormbreath Dragon, and I killed it. And then he played another Stormbreath Dragon, and then he played another Stormbreath Dragon. Yeah, and I was just like, okay, well, yeah, that's that.
That's too many Stormbreaths.
Yeah, but did not get to finish in the tournament, but I had fun playing the deck at least, and I was glad that it did well in the first 2 matches. I know the first one, the guy was just testing the deck out, I think, just seeing, you know, how some of the interactions would work with those cards, the Naya Auras guy. But the American Control deck, I think has played American Control for a while, and it was nice to have a good match against him.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Cats drive me nuts. All right. So, yeah, Planeswalker-y Control.
Yeah.
I think some people have responded on YouTube and they liked it. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a cool deck too. We haven't faced each other yet. So
No, we haven't.
we're gonna have to do that match eventually and
Yeah.
see how it fares against me and how I fare against that.
I don't feel too good about it. But
Well, Jace is really good against me.
yeah.
You know, all my guys are 2-power, so
Mhm.
I've had a lot of issues against Jace, which is another thing that Mono Blue has.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great tool against me. You know.
Mm-hmm. I guess the Last Breath is pretty good against you too.
Yeah, definitely.
In
Essence
response
Scatter's
to, like,
fine
an
too.
Cap or something.
Detention Sphering away one of my Madcap dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Also very good.
And then obviously Supreme Verdict too, if I can get to that.
And then the Sphinx is late game, so you got a good plan against me. I think you could definitely beat me. I mean, the old Supreme Verdict plan is always going to be good. And Ashiok's fine against me too. You get to gank guys and potentially block with them.
Ashiok that is really good against monsters. I've gotten Polychronos and Courser of Crufix off of the first mill, and just been really, really happy about it.
I bet playing
Yeah.
Polychronos would be huge
Mhm.
because you can't use its ability, right? Or I guess
I
technically
agree. So
you
I
have
can
a
actually
means
use
to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's huge. Yeah, I like this list a lot. This is cool. You'll have to keep playing it and see.
Yeah. I'm pretty
you can
excited
tweak it.
about it,
Yeah,
so I will definitely be playing it for a while.
I mean, the fact that it's good against red-green monsters is a good sign.
Mhm.
Because why don't we just go ahead and segue right into the top 8 from the SCG Open in St. Louis that happened yesterday. We're recording this on the 23rd, so February 22nd in St. Louis. It looked like green-red monsters took first, third, fourth, fifth is Jun monsters, but it's still pretty similar.
Okay. And
It's just got the what's the 4-drop 4/5 Death Touch or Hexproof guy.
Oh, Reaper?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's definitely in there.
Interesting.
But then it took 7th as well. So
Yeah, a lot of showings for green-red monsters.
Definitely. A little bit too much,
Yeah, I
I would
wonder,
say.
like, if they're afraid that something might be too good then.
I don't think so. I mean, it's really good against. The funny thing is, this deck has such good tools against me. It's got Scavenging Ooze. It's got. See, the weird thing is, this first place one didn't even run the coursers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at Chris Van Meter's list that took fourth, he definitely was doing the full play set of coursers. And he was only doing one main deck Scavenging Ooze. So he definitely was opting for this one over this. And the other one seemed to be opting for Ooze over Courser.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, Ooze is a better, I guess, kill condition if you can let it live. But the Courser is a better consistent drag the game out card against me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also doing the Xenagos, which I believe the first place one was not doing. Yeah, also not doing.
That's so interesting,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
Any weird sideboards? We got Unravel the Ether. We were expecting to see this.
Mm-hmm.
Get some sideboard play. Gods are not as important as formerly thought when you've got Revoke Existence and Unravel the Ether.
I wonder if he was opting not to play Xenagos because it wasn't always a creature and because it was susceptible to the two new really good removal spells for gods.
And I think he just liked he wanted that Domri. He knew how important that card was for his deck. He wanted that Garrick for card advantage. And then he wanted the Xenagos for infinite creature engine.
Yeah,
especially
Xenagos
you can
is
hide
really
behind
good.
stuff. And then he's got a good consistent ramp. That deck's got the Mystics and the Caryatids. So it's a cool deck.
Yeah, 2 Chandras out of the board too.
I will admit I'm weirded out that even in the board there's not any Courser Crew Fix. Maybe we should take a look at this blue-white control. You can evaluate it. I guess it looks pretty stock. 3 Mutavaults. There we go. That's a lot.
And 3 Elspeth too.
3 Elspeth, 3 Mutavault, 4 Jace, 1 Aetherling, and 1 Nullify main deck. That's cool. Faded Retribution, 1 of main deck. Any weird sideboards? We see a couple Angel of Serenity's sideboard. It's pretty interesting. I wonder what would you think where would this be good?
I can't even tell, really. I guess it does sort of wipe their board if they're expecting you not to play anything other than Aetherling.
Maybe it's the mid-range decks. I could see this being good against. Is it too slow against the Polychronos monsters decks, or?
No, because you can charm them early on and do stuff like that.
Okay, and Supreme Verdict and stuff. Okay.
So
maybe it's good against that.
It's not good against Dragon, that's for sure.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it does eat Polychronos and Gorklan, but I'm curious about that, where that would come in.
Too.
So
I'm surprised about that many creatures out of the board also.
Pretty stock though. Blue-white control, nothing too crazy. We can take a quick look at this Jund Monsters list.
Dreadbore.
So this is very similar, like I said, to just Red Bean Monsters, but we see Reaper of the Wilds, Dreadbore, main deck. No Xenagos in either form.
Or Garrick, just Domri.
Out of sideboard, we're seeing Sire of Insanity, which I haven't seen in a while. I guess that's good against the control-y decks, if you can resolve it. Gruul Charm, that's a wee bit unusual as well.
Yeah, actually very
I like the idea of it against Night Veil Spectre. So there's a lot of people playing that.
That's true.
The mono blue.
That's fair, yeah.
And then we've got 1 Xenagos God out of sideboard, a couple more Dreadbores, and a couple Rakdoses return. It's cute.
Why is Xenagos in the board?
I don't know. I mean, I can see an appreciation for Reaper of the Wilds. I like this card.
I do too.
It's priced well. It's very strong. I can get behind it. Looks like everything else, though, pretty normal. We can take out Mono Blue Devotion. I think it's probably still the same. Actually, Omen Speaker. Only 2 Jace. A couple Omen Speakers. Interesting.
2 Biden. I mean,
I
thought 2 Biden was kind of
pretty normal looking. Nothing too special. I think we need to go to Weird Harvest.
That was not a very exciting
but we gotta go.
SCG event.
No, I agree.
Well, the top 8 of it wasn't, I guess.
if I can find the bumper for it. Weird Harvest. Alright, Weird Harvest this week. We got a doozy for you. Flying Men.
Look at them all.
There's so many flying men in this
Look
picture.
at 'em all.
Alright, first of all, the card's called Flying Men. Is that about as boring as you can possibly get? Flying Men. It's a one. Okay, it was a 1-drop, originally printed in Arabian Nights, and it's a 1/1 flyer. It's actually not a terrible card. I'm sure at the time it was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
Unstable mutation.
played. Is that how it was played?
Mm-hmm.
I can get behind that. But why don't we describe the picture and describe what all these flying men kind of look like.
Apparently it's Aladdin with a scimitar, and that's about it. That's all. There's nothing more to it. He's up in clouds, riding a carpet.
Now, why is there only one man? I think that's the real
The
question.
world may never know, actually. Flying men? I don't know. And even the flavor text alludes to the fact that 20 flying men appeared at her side.
I think nobody told Christopher Rush. Right?
Yeah.
But someone must
The
have
name of
said,
the card is Flying Men.
I bet
Actually,
it was-
that's how they give you the art.
I can see this story already unfolding. It was an intern that called, and he totally botched it. And he's like, it's called Flying Man?
Flying Man.
Oh, okay. Flying Man.
Arabian
got it.
Nights Flying Man.
Okay.
Okay. I got this.
Men, you idiot.
What
guy-
did you do?
And then that
They
intern,
should have just like copied and pasted more images.
that intern got fired.
Mhm.
I'll tell you that much.
He don't
but-
work there no more.
Sadly, there's only one man in this picture.
It just don't add up.
It really doesn't. Do you hear the cat hissing in the background? I hope so.
More, more. You get more. Like a movie.
That's good.
Yeah. Someone's not pleased. Just so you know. But yes, his scimitar is even sparkling in the sun.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't mind the art so much.
I
kinda
don't either.
I like the nostalgic art.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's funny that it's wrong.
Yeah.
According to what they're describing.
and the name is silly, and it says summon flying men on it
Yeah.
too. It's obviously been switched to a human
just creature human.
since then.
How
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah, it could have been
Warrior,
even a wizard if it was harnessing the magic
I
to
suppose.
make the carpet work.
It says that each is well trained in the art of combat.
Ah, I see. Then it would have been, I guess, a soldier or
Soldier.
something like that.
Soldier is more blue than warrior, I suppose.
I'm watching some cats fight right now.
Yeah,
It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, these cats.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for this week. Remember to email me at mortarpod@SeemsGoodMagic.com. Follow us on Twitter at SeemsGoodMagic. And check out the Born of the God videos and our Seems Good Magic card giveaways. I'm trying to keep all these series going and intertwine them and stuff. So good to talk to you guys. See you later. Check in next week.
Later.